What's up, fellow Star Wars collectors? Steve here from Common Collected. And if you're a Star Wars fan too, whether it's the original trilogy, the Disney era, the expanded universe, the Sith will always be some of the coolest, most compelling characters, at least to me. So I've put together a list of what I believe are some of the most interesting versions of each character that can be Sith and dark side adjacent. So join me as we take a look. So let's start things out where it all began. The first time we ever saw a Sith, the first dark side user on screen, the man, the myth, the machine, the legend himself, Darth Vader. And of course, there are so many versions of him. This is the vintage collection. This is from the A New Hope. It's got the red eyes. But this is one of those deals where you could really pick and choose. Do you want a removable helmet? Do you want a hand that gets cut off? Do you want less articulation, but you just really love the torture droid? So if you want the articulation, the presence, the original red eyes, I would go with the most recent right now with the vintage collection, Darth Vader. So a Sith just wouldn't be a Sith without awesome armor. So next up, we're taking a look at Darth Krayt. And his presence is just amazing. He's got the removable helmet here. He just looks awesome. He was from a Legacy Collection 2-pack, and I don't believe there's any other versions of him. So of course, by default, he's going on the shelf. So now taking it back to the fan favorite Knights of the Old Republic, we have Darth Malgus. And this is from the 30th anniversary collection. And I know there's going to be another one of him eventually. I know they've done Black Series, so you know it's just a matter of time. But this is still such a really cool figure, despite his lack of articulation. So he's got a really great detail, and he even has the removable jaw here, which is a really nice touch. But he could certainly go for some more articulation, but I think he would still look great on any shelf. So moving on to some Sith adjacent characters, let's go back to the Rebels cartoon. And I know some of these have been revisited in the Obi-Wan show, but I'm a fan of Rebels more. So we're going to start things off with the fifth brother here. And articulation is not great, but this is kind of all we got for the Rebels cartoon. But at least he's got his lightsaber and he's got some presence. So for now, I'm going to add him to the collection. Keeping up with the Inquisitors, here we have the Seventh Sister, played by Sarah Michelle Gellar in the cartoon. And I really do love this character and this figure, but there are a lot of problems. It's just gummy as heck, not much articulation at all, but I still really like her. The mask is removable. Make sure you don't lose that. You don't lose a little probe droid that came with her. And good luck getting her to stand up without peg holes. We got the sticky tack, but she's going on the shelf. And for now, let's finish up the Inquisitors with Reva, the third sister. And quite a difference in detail and articulation from the Rebels characters. The articulation is so much better, the likeness is so much better that, yeah, they look kind of strange together, but I love this version, and it's going to look great with the Sith collection, serving under Darth Vader or the Grand Inquisitor. Will we be seeing him sometime? Alright, let's skirt a little bit more controversy, but with the ever-popular Mara Jade. Now, some people would say this is not a Sith, but she did serve under Palpatine in the Heir to the Empire saga, the Thrawn trilogy, as to hunt down and find Luke Skywalker, to kill Luke Skywalker. So, also great character, so I thought, let's put Mara Jade in the collection. I know they made one much later in the Black Series, but I really like this one. So of course, when you have a character who's really popular and different versions of the lore, it's always going to be hard to limit it down which one you want. So of course, here we have Darth Tyrannus, Count Dooku, and maybe you're a fan of the Clone Wars cartoons, but you got to go with Christopher Lee. And there's so many different versions that honestly, I'm not even sure which one I have, but I'd love for you to let me know which one it is. But I love this version because he has the removable head and the removable hands after his encounter with Anakin. You know what happened. Spoiler alert. But this is just a great version. The likeness is awesome. And of course, I'm going to put this one in with the Sith collection. Did you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Pllegus the Wise? What a crucial character to the lore. I mean, he trained Darth Sidious, the Emperor Palpatine himself. And what a look on him, from his design to his staff/lightsaber. It's just such a quintessential character, whether or not you like him in the expanded lore or whether or not you liked him in the Acolyte. The real tragedy here is that he's so hard to get a hold of. So coming back to the 30th Anniversary Collection and Knights of the Old Republic, this is absolutely a fan favorite. Here's Darth Revan. And this is another one where it might change over time because there is a really nice vintage collection figure, but this is the one I've had for a while, and his presence is still amazing. He's got a little less articulation, but it's still going to look great. And why not have him fighting against Darth Malak while you're at it? So this is another character that just has amazing presence, but this one is also a technicality. So here we have Lumia. She was from a Legacy 2-pack with a Luke Skywalker, and later I found out that this is actually custom. She's actually silver and a gray, but the one I ended up getting is black and purple, and it's not a bad custom. She actually looks really nice, but I think I would have rather gone with the original one. But that light whip is just so cool, and it's just out of the variety that's not red lightsabers. She's just a really great character. She's got the interchangeable head if you want to check it out, but definitely adding her to the collection. Let's keep going with another very important Sith. This is Darth Bane, who even 1,000 years before the Clone Wars came up with the rule of 2. And just really cool. Again, he has the removable Orbalisk armor. Just looks really nice. Posing, again, not too great, but just looks really cool. And how could you not have the creator of the rule of 2 on your shelf? Another hugely popular character, and of course, how do you nail it down, which is a quintessential figure? Of course, Darth Maul. From episode 1, you know you loved him. I don't care what you thought of the movie. The character design was so great. And there are just so many versions of him. And unfortunately, I don't have a super perfect version. I think I would want just the cape, but are you a fan of the Rebels version? Are you a fan of the spider legs? Do you prefer him in training? Do you prefer him in a cloak? All of them are so good, but for now, I'm just going with the Sith Legacy 3-pack version here until I can get a nice version of the Tatooine cloak. Again, controversial, but follow-up to Darth Maul, here we have his brother, Savage Oppress. And again, not a full-blown Sith, but I thought I'd have him as dark side adjacent. So this is from the Target exclusive Darth Maul Returns 3-pack, but he just has such presence. The horn, the yellow, just a great compliment to Darth Maul. And I just think he'd also look great with a red lightsaber to recreate that awesome scene from Clone Wars where they're fighting Darth Sidious together. So I'm counting him. And keeping it up with the controversial Maul-related figures, here we have Mother Talzin, one of the Night Sisters. And just everything from the fact that she was originally some sort of concept art by Ian McCaig for Darth Maul during the episode 1 days, but just that red and that white. I'm missing her tail feathers, unfortunately, for lack of better words, but I want her with the Sith and that part of the Night Sisters and the witches. She's going to be great. So let's bring it back to some of the real Sith and just another really cool and striking character. This is Darth Malibu, who actually served under Darth Krayt. And he was part of an Entertainment Earth exclusive Joker Squad 6-pack, I believe. And just everything from his shock whip to that squid face and that paint looks awesome. The wire in the cape, I wish more Sith figures had this. He looks great. Now showing you another just really cool character. This is the Lord of Hunger, Darth Nius. So he was part of the Sith Legacy 3-pack as well, and he was actually the one that really made me decide that I want to look into a Sith collection, because everything is tattered robes. He almost looks like something out of Lord of the Rings, but just a great character in Star Wars lore. And here we have another very popular fan favorite character who really does need an updated figure, but we have Darth Talon, who worked with Darth Nihil, who unfortunately I do not have. So if you're willing to donate to the Common Collected Fund, please do, because I'd like to get my hands on Darth Nihil. But again, this is a fan favorite. Her articulation is absolutely lacking. No elbows, which is just criminal, but looks great. Fan favorite. Twi'leks looks kind of like Darth Maul. Would love to see a new version of her. Coming back to Rebels, again, this is a character that has a better character in the vintage collection, but this is the first one I ever got of him, and this is the Grand Inquisitor. And I think at some point I might have to upgrade to the one from Obi-Wan, but he still has a lot of presence. I like the elongated head, doesn't look as humanoid that way, but he's going to look especially well next to the fifth brother and the seventh sister. Another really cool figure that actually made me want to get into collecting Sith. This is Darth Malgus. This is the False Emperor. He was from the Legacy collection, but they re-released him in the 3 3/4 Black Series collection. He just, again, the presence, he almost looks like Darth Vader without his helmet to me, and I think that's what initially drew me to him, but just the bulk, the armor, the cloak, even his lightsaber hilt just looks really cool. So in terms of really great Sith, you're going to want one of these. So continuing right along, let's keep it going with some of the people who were learning the dark side of the Force, but were also not necessarily Sith. So here we have Talzin, who was one of the dark acolytes of Count Dooku. And when I first found out about him, I didn't really know too much. I'm still not a huge fan of the presence of the figure. He has very stumpy legs, but this is the only version of the character made. And he had come with an Assange Ventress, and I think we're going to move into her next. So moving on to Assange Ventress, there are actually a surprising amount of figures made of her, and they're all actually really cool. And there's different versions. This is sort of a less cartoony version of the Tarkovsky Clone Wars cartoon. And then I don't even know what version this is. I believe it was from the comic pack with Talzin. And then I actually like this one the most because it's sort of a more realistic version of the Clone Wars cartoon. And even though she's really thin, I think it works really well, and she's still really well articulated. So this is the version for now that I'm going to have on my shelf. So moving along with Secret Apprentices, here we have Galen Merrick, Starkiller from the Force Unleashed video game. And of course, I think this one is really cool because this is the alternate ending where you can choose to be evil over being good. And just they went full on with the nails, with the mask, with the battle damage. Or if you want to step it back a little bit, here he is as Vader's apprentice in training, which still looks really cool. So this is kind of a toss-up for me because as much as I love the over-the-top alternate what-if, alternate universe evil, I think we can do both and have in training and then a Lord of the Sith. Adding a splash of color and keeping with the Force Unleashed, we have Darth Phobos. This is from a Force Unleashed 5-pack. I believe it was a Toys R Us exclusive, but it's so nice to see someone who's not just black. The colors, the two-sided lightsaber with the different looking hilt, she looks really cool. Speaking of color on the shelf, it doesn't get any more colorful than this. Bringing it up into the Disney era, here we have from the Sith Eternal, we have Snoke. And I know this is another one of those dicey ones, but as a sort of failed clone of Palpatine, or at least a host body for his spirit, I thought he could be a good character to have and keep him on the shelf and have some First Order going on. And this is from the Vintage collection as well. So who to follow Snoke? Then Ben Solo himself, Kylo Ren, trying to keep the Sith legacy alive and finish his grandfather's work. This is also, I believe, a vintage collection, and gotta love the articulation. He's a step up, quite a step up from some of those original figures that came out, and this is the one you're gonna want, unless you want his hood down. Let's go ahead and bring it back to one more from the Force Unleashed. This is Maris Brood. This would have been a basic from the Force Unleashed collection, and she fell to the dark side after the death of Shaak Ti. I love the way that she wields those Guard Shoto lightsabers. They look like batons, and I just hope she doesn't cut her own elbows off, but she's really cool, the style. Could use some more articulation in the legs especially, but she's gonna look great. We're gonna count this as another technicality, but I know he wasn't super great in the movie, didn't have too much to do, but General Grievous was so much more fleshed out in the Clone Wars. And again, this is not the quintessential version. There were a couple of retro card-backed ones that have the arms that split in half to all four and actually have cloth capes, but I do not have that one with me at the moment. It's packed away. So representing him, I have a far lesser version, but I would suggest go with a vintage collection, get yourself the cloth cape, get all four arms for holding lightsabers, and he's gonna look sweet with the Separatists, with Count Dooku, with Palpatine. You know he had to show up eventually. Emperor Palpatine himself. What do I even say? Except maybe give him a cane. Does he need a lightning throwing hand? This is another one of those figures. There's just so many versions of this character, but I love this version. I wish his hood was a little bit better, but just the sculpt, the articulation, the soft good cape. You absolutely, what are you doing? If nothing else, you gotta have a Palpatine. We started with Darth Vader, and you know what? Let's end with Darth Vader. This is the Anakin Skywalker, as he has already fallen to the dark side and is now Darth Vader. This would have been from the Anakin to Darth Vader Evolution 3-pack, I believe. And I don't know, I think there's one that's slightly better, might have better eye paint or the yellow eyes, but articulation's great, the cloak's great. And what better figure to showcase the fall of a Jedi to the darkness of a Sith? So that was a very extensive look at some of the Sith and some of the Sith adjacent and the acolytes of the dark side. Which one was your favorite? Did I leave any of them out? Are there any that you think should not have been there? Are there better versions? Let us know. We have a full playlist of some Star Wars videos. If you like Micro Machines, if you like vintage bootlegs, check it out and keep watching Calm and Collected. And here he comes. Ah!
And then have him jump down.
Or the Grand Inquisitor. Will we be seeing him sometime?
That's fine. That's fine. I think you made it.